It did it. It did it good. Well, it
Um,
was where, when Noah Segan got involved, we went through the script again and kind of added some more existential elements, and the whole Dennis Hopper vibe, and getting into the whole idea that if you take enough of a drug or the wrong drug, that your brain or part of your brain can get broken.
hmm,
And that's really what happened to these kids. Is it basically snapped the mind, and for one brief second, it's the whole thing of your brain trying to tell you something's wrong is flashing before in the movie.
yeah.
And it was, another great inspiration was an occurrence at Owl Creek Bridge by Ambrose Bierce, and it was actually made into there was a Twilight Zone episode that was great with the Civil War soldier.
Hmm,
He's running from the north, and runs to a bridge, jumps off. They're shooting at him. They're shooting at him. They're shooting at him, and then he gets away, and he's running to his wife, and he's running to his wife, and then whoop, the rope snaps, and the whole
yeah.
movie was that guy, running, about to be hung,
Yeah.
and the minute, before his neck snaps is the whole him, his mind reliving this dream of seeing his wife one last time.
Yeah.
So that was kind of the idea with Someone's Knocking, was to give it these kids this hallucinogenic trip right before they're all dead.
Hmm. And of course, without giving the ending of the film away.
Maybe she put a warning before.
Oh man, the cast is amazing. I mean, not only have you got Tim Muscatel and David Z. Stamp playing this kind of Laurel and Hardy of fucked up policemen. You've got Ricardo from Easter Bunny Kill Kill, not retarded this time, but with an impossible stutter that that you just want to punch out of him.
The kid can't replace with me, Kenny.
Man, you're a oh dear. And of course Vernon Wells, the great Australian cult actor Vernon Wells, playing the psychiatrist.
No, he was just a great to work with, one of the legends of cinema. It was a real pleasure, and he was a real true. He was only on for one day, but he was just he nailed his stuff, and it was just a real pleasure to work with him.
The I mean some of the money shots in the film, like the guy wearing the crazy woman like a turban and stuff like that.
Right.
This couldn't possibly find a mainstream audience. I mean, this is so out there that I mean, is it a form of career suicide that you're
I mean,
constantly trying
in
to?
hindsight, it's like in hindsight, it's one of those things that maybe I should have taken Rome's original script and followed it to the letter, because it would have been much more commercial. And you just got to ask yourself at that point, what are you doing it for? If you want to just make money and sell out, then do it. Not that his
Yeah.
script was a sellout, but to me it was, I just got to be true to myself and what my gut tells me to do. That's pretty much what have been doing since birth. It's like, follow your gut instinct, and if your instinct tells you to write something or change something and it feels good to you as a director or a writer, then swallow that pill and take it head on. I did, and I got to stick by it. I mean, there's people who love the film and there's people who despise the film. There's really no middle ground.
Yeah.
And I think that's the path I chose as a filmmaker, and I'm going to stick to that.
Yeah. Well, there's so much milk.
You know,
There's so much milquetoast cinema out there, that doesn't get a violent reaction one way or the other. People go, "That was okay. That was fine."
yeah, and then they forget about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
Whereas,
see, if you're going to really hate it, you're going to hate the hell out of it and write a 10-paragraph thing of why you despise it on IMDb. And if it's well written, I love those things, because it's at least someone has a reaction to it, whether it's good or bad. They needed to go voice that, and that's a great feeling to get out of someone.
yeah. Well, I think it's rare these days to actually find a director who has a cinematic eye. I mean, a true cinematic eye, and
Yeah.
and B, a director whose personal stamp you can see all the way through their work, even from their first film, which may be a little bit rough around the edges, but still has that unmistakable you know, out there quality. So,
Sure, sure.
so I like I told you before, I really like your movies, and look forward to seeing the next one, which is a $2 million Civil War werewolf film. Uh, I honestly think that if you've got any shot at commercial success, this is the one without having to compromise, you know,
Nice.
the personal integrity thing, because reading Dances with Werewolves, that film is going to be a motherfucker.
I hope so. It's kind of, my last. The idea was kind of a joke at first of just I have the title, and I threw it out to Rome, and he loved it and said, I can get financing for this in a second, so write me a script. And I was working with this kid, David Chirchirillo, on this film my friend Trent Haga directed called Chop, and he was a nice kid. He was fresh out of film school, and I said, hey, here's my and he wrote a script, and it was a good read, and I took another pass at it and finished the script, and we're sent it to Rome, and he was happy with it, and then he went out and got it pre-sold. We got U.S. distribution and all this stuff, and it's now basically a matter of just, getting the casting down and shooting in next winter in Michigan. So
Yeah.
everything seems to have fallen into place, and knock on wood that it turns out to be, a Carpenter meets Peckinpah horror western.
And just briefly pitch it to us in one paragraph. What's the film about?
North and South versus werewolves. It's Lonesome Dove with werewolves, I guess, or it's really The Thing meets Peckinpah. It's anything that's it's bloody. It's blood and guts and heart, if that makes sense. It's basically these Confederate soldiers escaping from a Union prison camp, and they're in the dead of winter on the run, and they hop a train, and they wake up the next day, and the train is dead still, and they think they've been surrounded by their captors, and there's nobody there. The train is basically empty except for a mass of dead bodies and blood everywhere. So they're basically now on the run from the Union soldiers and from Indian shape-shifting werewolves in the dead of winter with the isolation and just the hunger in your gut and being terrified out of your wits. And it's something that, and it's simplistic. It's very, there's not too much, sets that need to be built. It's pretty much these guys out in the woods and
A lot of snow.
special.
A shitload of snow.
The shitload of snow.
And of course the spaghetti western revenge angle, which I think works really well too.
Well, it's like one of my favorite spaghetti westerns is The Great Silence, and the reason that's so great is the snow. It's just adds such an element that I hadn't seen before in a spaghetti western. That's just and Klaus Kinski, so you can't go wrong.
Yeah. Well, I really look forward to seeing you getting dragged, kicking and screaming, and covered in blood into the mainstream. if that's where you're meant to be.
Well, I hope it at least opens, the doors to getting some crazier films off the ground. If this is a somewhat of a success, I think it walks a fine line of being commercial, but at the same time being what most horror fans are looking for, and that's a horror western hybrid with no CGI, and it goes back to the old days of practical effects, and a lot of it gruesome as all hell, and they make you go, wow, how did they do that? Which we've got Tom Devlin doing the makeup effects, and we've got a scene where the werewolf changes on horseback. So I mean, it's doing stuff that hasn't been seen in a werewolf transformation, and really kind of trying to go in new directions that the audience can go, wow, I haven't seen that before, and I'm liking what I'm seeing.
Yeah, well, let's just hope the above ground film world is ready for you.
If
Chat,
not, here come either way.
yeah. Chad Ferrin, thanks for being with us.
Well, thank you for having me, and I'll see you soon.
Cheers, man.
Bye.